So if you're thinking of moving to Portland, Oregon, but you can't quite decide if this is the right place for you or not, well, stay tuned. Because in this video, I'll share with you the pros and cons of relocating to Portland, Oregon. So many of you might already know that I moved up from Oakland, California over 3 years ago, and I lived in Oakland for over a decade. So in this video, I wanted to share some of my personal experiences of what I liked about Portland compared to somewhere like the Bay Area in California. But before we get into the video, I did just want to mention that I am a real estate broker based here in Portland, Oregon, and I specialize in helping people move to the area. And of course, people moving from California is something that I see a lot of. So if I can help you with your move to the Portland metro area, then please do reach out. The contact details are down below. There's a link where you can schedule your personal Zoom call with me. There's also my phone number and my email. So our first pro of living in Portland, Oregon is the abundance of city parks. And I'm actually filming this in Laurelhurst Park, which is one of my favorite parks here in Portland. Now, when I lived in the Bay Area, there were a few parks in the neighborhoods, but here it feels like every neighborhood has an attractive park for the community. Now, this is a proper neighborhood park. It's surrounded by beautiful homes in a charming community. You'll see there's a beautiful mature trees, walking trails, and then right behind me there is also a duck pond. Now in the summer, they also host events, including concerts and comedy shows. Now you'll probably see in a lot of my videos, I show the local parks in the neighborhood, as this is something that is really important to me when I moved here. Now according to Wikipedia, there are at least 279 parks in Portland, so whichever neighborhood you decide to move to, you're going to be in close proximity to some fantastic recreational facilities. Okay, so now let's turn our attention to our first con, and perhaps a reason why you should not move to Portland, Oregon, and that is of course the weather. So the weather can be a problem. We do get a lot of rain, we can get snow, and it can also be incredibly hot. But firstly, let's break each one of these down independently. So let's talk about the rain. Typically we get warm and dry summers, so the rain tends to fall in the cooler months. However, from November through to April, 15 or more days a month do get more than 0.01 inch of rain. And although that's a tiny amount of rain, those days are officially recorded as rain days. Okay, so let's talk about the snow. Now, back in mid-January, we had our first snowstorm of the season. So we were able to get through the holidays, November, December, without any snow here at all. Now, I would say on average it snows maybe twice a season, and so far this season we've just had one snow day. Now, it can get cold, so the snow combined with some rain turned into ice just last month, and it remained on the ground for about 5 days before melting and just being back to normal. So personally, snow to me isn't really an issue. Then some people may find it a problem, but others who have kids actually might really enjoy it. But again, for me, the fact that it remains on the ground only for a short period of time actually makes it a fun experience rather than a major disruption to my life. Okay, so now let's talk about the heat. So in the summer, it can get hot and record temperatures can exceed over 100 degrees, but that's not a common occurrence. August tends to be the hottest month, and you'll likely get multiple days in a row where temperatures are 80 degrees or warmer. So if you're moving up from somewhere like California, you're not going to be a stranger to these warm temperatures. And if you're looking to buy a house here, I do recommend you buy a home either with air conditioning or at least a home that has the capacity to have an air conditioning unit installed. Mainly because upstairs we have older homes and the attics tend to get incredibly warm, especially towards the end of the days. Now the good news is that most newer homes have air conditioning, and then older homes use forced air for their heating, so an air conditioner or heat pump can be installed to cool the house down. Okay, so that's probably our biggest con. So if the weather hasn't scared you away, then perhaps moving to Portland could be right for you. So with that in mind, it's probably a good time to remind you I am a licensed real estate broker here in Portland, Oregon, and my contact details, including the link to schedule your Zoom call with me, is down below. Okay, so let's move on to our second pro on why I think you should consider moving to Portland, and that's the wide range of houses here. So I'm now walking along the south side of Laurelhurst Park, and you can see behind me that there's some really beautiful houses here. And there's a really wide variety of homes in Portland, from older historical homes to brand new construction. And depending on what part of Portland you live, this is going to impact the style and age of the house. A large majority of homes on the east side are older and have more of that historical charm. And on the west side, homes tend to be newer, and you'll likely find more brand new construction there too. Now, also in parts of North Portland, the homes there are much smaller and also more affordable. Okay, so let's just talk about our second con, and I want to bring up a map and talk to you about the traffic. Now, if you look at Portland, you'll see that there are many bridges separating the west and east sides of the Willamette River, and this tends to be where you'll see the bottlenecks with traffic. So if anywhere near these bridges, and then the roads that service them are the roads that tend to get backed up and where they see more traffic and slow things down. Now, drawing on my experience from living in San Francisco Bay Area, the traffic in Portland is nowhere near as bad as crossing the San Francisco Bay Bridge, and there's also no toll roads here in Portland. But what it does mean, it can take you an extra 20 minutes to cross from the west side to the east side, especially in the evenings. Now, the commute tends to be in the evenings from west to east, and then the mornings from east to west. So, for example, if you work for Nike, which is in Beaverton on the west side of the Willamette River, and then you're coming home in the evenings, it might take an extra 20 minutes. So your commute could be 45 minutes to an hour long. So if you do work for Nike and that commute is too long for you, I recommend focusing on areas like Beaverton, Forest Heights, Northwest Heights, Bethany, and maybe Lake Oswego or West Lynn, which are separate cities south of Portland. Okay, so now let's talk about our third pro on why I recommend you move to Portland, Oregon, and that's the fantastic food options. Now, you'll notice in Portland there are many good food trucks, food pods, but there's also some outstanding restaurants. Now, I think Southeast Portland probably has more restaurants than any other quadrant in the city, so when you decide which neighborhood is right for you, think about where you'll find those food options. Now, you will find food trucks scattered throughout the entire city, but again, Southeast Portland tends to have more, and then in the Pearl, which is a more densely populated area, also has an abundance of quality restaurants. Now, some of my personal favorite restaurants include Khan, which opened its doors in 2022, and then won the Best New Restaurant the following year for the James Beard Awards. El Gacho is in downtown Portland, is a fantastic traditional steakhouse. You have Belle Pine, which is a new restaurant in the Ritz-Carlton Residences. And then Portland City Grill, which is also in downtown Portland and has fantastic views of the river, Mount Hood, from the 30th floor. Okay, so just before we talk about our next con on why Portland might not be right for you, I just want to ask you that if you're enjoying this video, please do consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel so you receive more content like this. So Portland does have a lack of housing, and there is a large homelessness problem here. You will see tents by many of the freeways and also in parts of downtown, particularly in and around the Chinatown areas. It is a complicated problem and not something that's going to be fixed overnight, but what I've personally seen is that the further away from the more densely populated areas, the less visual the issue appears to be. Now, I've been focusing most of my videos on my channel in areas where I don't tend to see these problems, and also where I feel are safe, clean, nice places to live, and where I feel comfortable recommending my friends and family to move to. I live on the east side of the river, and personally I don't see many of these issues. The west side of the river in inner downtown Portland area and the Pell District is where most of the problems tend to be, or where they tend to be more visual. So to summarize, it is a problem here. It's going to take time to fix. The majority of the neighborhoods and parks in Portland are safe, and the problem is more concentrated to specific areas. Okay, so let's finish things off and talk about one of the biggest reasons why my wife and I decided to move to Portland. Now, prior to living in Oregon, I lived in Oakland, California for over a decade. And if you're familiar with Oakland, we lived near Lake Merritt and then later on in Rockridge, which is close to Berkeley. Now, we were fortunate enough to own our own home there, but prices in California, and especially the Bay Area, were astronomical compared to what you can get here in Portland, Oregon. The same house in those neighborhoods in Oakland will cost double to triple the amount on what you can get in Portland, Oregon. And if I'm honest, I feel like the neighborhoods in Portland are better maintained, safer, and a more pleasant place to live. So saving that money that we've saved from selling our home in Oakland and purchasing here has allowed us to live a lifestyle that we could never have in California. Now, according to a report from the National Association of Realtors, the median cost of a single family home in the Portland metro area is around $550,000 to $600,000, and this is significantly less than other major cities on the West Coast. The median price of a home in the Seattle-Tacoma area is $739,000. In LA, it's higher at $790,000. And the Bay Area, which includes San Francisco, Oakland, and several other smaller cities, tops that list at $1.3 million. So overall, Oregon is a much more affordable state than its neighbors to the north and to the south. So those are my top pros and cons of living in Portland, Oregon. Now, if you want to talk more about these in more detail, please feel free to shoot me an email, send me a text, give me a call, or better yet, in the description below is a link to my calendar where you can schedule a Zoom call with me. Now, please do subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video.